Oh, oh, faster than I thought. That's what she said. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning into the BAMF podcast. This is Mike Lafferty, and let me 1 second. Let's play the intro music to show that we're a high quality, high production value podcast.
Blair blasting through it, man.
Yeah, I just just try to assure people that we're a high quality podcast, creating artisanal, handcrafted podcasts for your ear holes. So, with us today is freaking co-host Jacob Blackman. How you doing, Jacob?
I am very well today. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. COVID is almost had its wicked way with me. I'm almost out of quarantine. 2 more
Glad
days.
you're recovering.
Thank you. And also special guest Eric Alsandor. How you doing, Eric?
Hey, what's going on?
Sweet. I'm great. Thank you for coming up, sir. You got a pretty awesome man cave, by the way.
Oh, you have no idea. This is just my living room. This is what I put out in the front of the house.
That's pretty radical.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And I try to choose dramatic spaces for when I do vlogs because, like, I don't know. I could have Funko Pops or what. I don't know. I move around my house. This is just where I'm doing them right now on my tablet. So.
Sweet, looks good, man. All right, so let's just give some context to your project. Let's talk about the Mothership RPG. This is something that was new to me, but apparently it's got kind of a following. It's a sci-fi horror RPG. What can you tell us about it?
So, a couple of years ago, Lou Gehrig and Sean McCoy from Tuesday Night Games, they put out basically a pen and paper zine called Mothership, and it is a sci-fi horror RPG. Now, I'll get to that point of it in a second. But what it won any awards, I believe, the first year it was out, and it continues to win awards in different categories for its published material. Like if you guys follow, like if you're big OSR guys and you follow like Questing Beast and things like that, like Pound of Flesh, which is one of the official, which was the third official release for publication, won his best award, Zine Award for the year for 2020 when it was released. But basically, long day short, it's OSR, so it's really approachable. You can make a character in probably less than 5 minutes. It's designed for getting quick into the action and making it, you're right in the middle of it and you get to play out all those great scenarios. Why I like Mothership, why I like it, is because space horror is my favorite genre of all time, like of all media. Like I'm that guy, like for example, like last summer during lockdown, oh my god, dude. During the lockdown, we were playing 5e Dungeons and Dragons like every other day. And it was great. We played for like months, like 3 times a week. And then I got to a point where I was just like, man, I am so burned out on fantasy. Like I love gunplay. Like I grew up playing Shadowrun and like Rifts and all that stuff. So we started looking around the community, and then I got in the Free League. We started playing Alien RPG. I had a lot of fun with that. We played scenarios for that, and then from there, I kind of found Mothership. And then since then, I've been running games like crazy. So basically, like I said before, like it's OSR. It's really approachable. Mm-hmm. If you have any questions about Mothership, if you go to Tuesday Night's website, mm-hmm. you can actually download it for free, pay what you want as an introductory to introduce you to the game. And like, to be honest, man, I went to school for info design and graphic design and illustration, and Sean, the creator, is a graphic designer. So when you look through the zine, if you're a big fan of like data is beautiful, that kind of thing, like the flow charts and like how information is communicated, like it's so easy to use. And so when I train players how to play Mothership, it literally takes me like 10 minutes. Like it's kind of like Morkborg, where it's like this 4 skills, and then you kind of make it's skill based, kind of like Call of Cthulhu. So you make social arguments for your roles. Like I'm going to use strength plus or intelligence plus heavy machinery to like repair a generator, that kind of thing. So once you understand, it's a roll under system. So once you understand that, it's really easy to get into. So that being said, the other part of it is all these great scenarios you like growing up, like whether it be in X-Files or Aliens or like, I don't know, man, like goddamn, like all those, those great 80s and 70s like sci-fi horror films, like Like
Life
I don't even like
Force,
Life Force.
Horizon.
Yeah, man, dude.
Yeah.
I was just talking about Life Force the other day with a friend
Love
of
that
mine.
movie.
It's like the Italians, like they're like when the Italians get a hold of science fiction, man, they go all the way, man. I want naked supermodels floating around, turning people. That movie bankrupted that studio. However, but anyway, so if you want to tell these small, like intimate stories in space, but not get bogged down by all this crunch, but there's enough there to hold on to. It's really good. I highly recommend going to it because I went from playing pretty hardcore Free League, like the stress mechanics and all that stuff, to going to this. This is just like, to me, is like the perfect vehicle. And now you're starting to see it inspire other properties like Vast Grim and like Death in Space, Through the Void. There's a bunch of like smaller like sci-fi horror. There's a bunch of smaller sci-fi horror games now that are coming out to kind of take over that market share because it's a big one. I mean, like any kind of, to me, I know I'm saying a lot here, but to me, space horror is the last true like frontier of horror because let's face it, man, like in 2021, it's like you have to account for cell phones and like police and the internet, and you have to spend so much time explaining away all this stuff. Like when you're in space, the environment of being in space is terrifying. Like it's cold and emotionless, and like there's radiation, and like you need spacesuits. So right then and there, like like that movie. What's that movie called? Gravity. There's no like monster in Gravity, but it's still a terrifying movie because she's just trying to like survive.
Yeah. Did you see?
Space.
I would be amiss if I didn't point out that Walt Rebelliard has joined us. How you doing, Walt?
Good morning, good evening, wherever the sun may find you. What's going on?
Not too much. You and Eric are in the same time zone, so maybe you guys know each other.
Oh,
I love the same time zone.
Oh hell yeah, dude!
And also Life, that movie, like
Life. If you like that movie, if you took an afternoon and write a couple pages, you could play Life in Mothership, and you're trapped on a station, you get your 4 close buddies, you're sitting at a small table if you're doing it in person, and then you just start going through the motions. I played a great one. Oh my god, dude! I played a great one-shot Mothership where there was an imposter. There was an imposter that if it made contact with you, you'd flip to their side, kind of like in the Thing, and then like the rest of the characters didn't know what was going on, and we slowly got absorbed. But there's a lot of scenarios you can do without feeling too pigeonholed into like Alien. I love Alien RPG. I love I love that property. I still play it right now, but you're very pigeonholed into like one kind of like narrative. With this, you can bring in Blade Runner, you can bring in Aliens, you can bring in like whatever kind of like what is that movie called, man? What's that movie called?
Event Horizon.
Event Horizon, that's a big influence. Adventures in the Androgynous Zone, like all that stuff. It's all doable, and a lot of the Kickstarter. There's a lot of Kickstarters out for it now because I think there's a lot of love for that property. I mean, there's a lot now. I launched mine, and like within the span of 2 weeks, more people launched on Kickstarter. Joel Hines doing stuff with like Desert Moon of Karth, and like so. There's a lot of different settings you can use to drop into it. There's no fixed time period. There's no fixed like technology level. I think the only real constant that runs through Mothership is that aliens still are mysterious. That is like there's no like playable race. There's no Aslan, like Traveler. There's no like playable alien races because like every alien encounter should be mysterious and like a sense of wonder and like danger, that kind of thing. If it was like Star Wars was like fantasy, like I probably wouldn't be as excited about it. I mean, because like it's it's that really grounded science fiction setting for sure.
All right, cool. Yeah, this is educational for me because the big OSR sci-fi thing I knew about was White Star that Walt introduced to me. So this is kind of cool. So we got the background on what Mothership is. Let's talk about your project, which just looking over the Kickstarter page. Let me get it up here. Reminded me a lot of Event Horizon because you kind of had sort of that supernatural horror, and here it is, Rain and Blood on Kickstarter right now. 7 days left. You are like 300%. Oh, hey, he's got a backer. I claim that guy. See, it's that's the BAMF podcast boost, buddy. But look at this goddamn map. Hang on, let's scroll down here. Look at this. Jesus, that's a beautiful fucking map. I love that.
You know what's funny about the map
this map is freaking gorgeous.
Just, I don't want to out myself about this map, but the guy, I got a zillion upvotes for this map, and the guy, what's the guy's name? From 1XP, his podcast. And he's like, oh man, it's my favorite map of the year for whatever. And I made this map in 2 hours from scratch. And
Really?
like I was like, I just kind of put it together, and I was like, man, I need to milk this more. Like, yeah, man, I went to like it took me hours of like crafting, like what if you, I've always said, if you're really passionate about something, it kind of just flows through you. So like, now I got to figure out a way to get it onto a zine, like a tiny page, and not lose too much detail. That's the only problem in this format. Is like I don't know how much you guys know about like, or how much you discuss like zines and stuff like that, like on the channel, but like that format, that 8.5, that 5.5, 5.5 by 8.5 like size format, that like that foldable format, that is like the preferred. That is the preferred vehicle for a lot of this OSR stuff. And if you oh my god, if you deviate from that, if you make it like A4 or you go up too big, or they freak out.
Really?
Yeah, because they're collectors, right? So on their back walls, on their back walls, like car, they'll have all their zines all lined up, and if one of them is not the right size, the OCD starts to get to these guys. They get crazy or whatever.
All right, so it's close to paperback size, a little bit bigger than paperback size. So all right.
Yeah,
Well,
so if you take a piece of paper, like a printer piece of paper, a piece of printer paper, and you fold it in half, that is a zine. That is a traditional Western zine, as you say.
Well, hey, let me scroll up to the top of the page and tell us about this adventure.
Okay. So I had been toying with the idea of doing something for the setting. Yeah, I think you guys have had Paul Vermeeren on your show a couple of times.
Oh yeah, great shot for icons.
Shot,
yeah, he's awesome. Yeah.
Paul is probably one of my oldest friends. Like he and his wife and I like go back a long way. He is a great mind for this community. He's been a friend to him for a long time, and he's kind of like one of those like erudite level guy. He's just always for him to launch Grid Shock and have it be so tight and professionally put together was a big inspiration for me, because I have the training and background to do it, and I've been running games for like 25, probably longer than that, like 30 years. So I was like, why don't I just put together something more for myself and see where it goes? So it started off as a pamphlet adventure, which is like, I'll just do this while it's my spare time. I'll just do 10 pages, and I'll just put it on itch or drive through. Then it turned to 30 pages, and I was like, well, I might as well go all the way with it. Then it turned to 60 pages. So now I'm like, okay, we're at 60 pages now, and here we go. So again, like Sean's approach to design for layout design actually becoming like a recognized kind of art form. And then obviously Morkborg, man. I mean, like I bought Morkborg for a friend of mine, because just to have on our coffee table, because it's just a great book to have. You open it up, it's very intense, very pop arty. You don't have to play the game to appreciate stuff like that. All the art and hard work that goes into it. So that's how my style of art is. It's kind of bombastic and like, breaking borders and edges and like intense fonts. So let me go ahead and put my spin on it. There's a lot of stuff in the zine space that's very kind of stiff and kind of homespun. A lot of it's black and white because these guys want to print these zines out on their homes and make themselves and whatever. And I was just kind of like, let me go out there and like, I've been a graphic designer for like 20 years, like part-time. So let me go ahead and put it out there and see what I can do. Let me call my friends, make some art for me, and see if we can make a splash. You know what I mean? I mean, there's so many people getting into the space, the DIY space, and realizing that you don't have to go through a big company. The games license for Mothership, just like a lot like Free League, it's free, right? It's free. All you have to do at least in Tuesday night's cases, they have a contract license where you just basically you submit your proposal to them. As long as there's no hate speech in there or anything crazy, they'll greenlight it. You know what I mean? As long as it has some level of quality to it. So the zines that are being produced for the property are getting more and more elaborate and intense. Like they're getting really. I mean, it's rivaling, in my opinion, some of the big studios in terms of how the quality in which you get out of it. So that being said, like I decided to like put together my ideas, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, like I wanted to kind of capture certain elements before there other people captured them, which was pirates. I was like, all right, space pirates. All right, everyone loves space pirates. I'm gonna go ahead and take that for myself.
It's a classic.
It's a classic. It's a winner. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like lemonade at a picnic. It's like everyone's gonna drink this. It's fine. We got this. I could have just left it there. You know, I'm like, all right, not enough. I gotta keep putting my stuff on it here. So like, I don't know what happened, man. Like I think I was sitting down and I was just watching. I had like a Wesley Snipes marathon, movie marathon at my house where I watched Blade. I watched all the Blades. I watched Demolition Man. I watched Passenger 57. I watched like Ronin and like Art of War and like all that stuff in the 90s. And I just kept laughing about how over the top and intense it was. And that kind of turned into like, you know what? What if I wrote a space hijacking? What if I took the plot of Passenger 57 and I turned it into a zine? What if instead of like a bunch of terrorists, there are pirates? And then what if I took the main bad guy? What's the guy's name? I can't remember the guy. Oh God, the main bad guy's name in Passenger 57 is Charles Rain, and then the actor's real name is Martin. So I was like, this guy. Have you ever seen Passenger 57? The guy who plays the actor's name escapes me, but the guy who plays that character is so over the top bad guy. It's crazy to the point where his co-conspirators, like his co-hijackers are like kind of like throwing their lives away to help him hijack a plane for no real reason. Like I don't know. Like the movie doesn't make any sense, right? But the actor's portrayal of this terrorist, this like a Martin Rain, the Reign of Terror, was so intense, like on screen, that he just chews up every scene. And then I'm like, what if this guy was a cult leader? And then you start like putting all this stuff together. Who do I like? What cult leaders stand out to me in fiction? You know, like Thulsa Doom. Okay, what if? All right, religious horror. Okay, and then the whole thing just starts snowballing. So I have a whole notebook full of notes. Just write, my process. I just write notes down and start isolating stuff and like kind of blocking it out. And then you have that whole thing where you're staring at like on Illustrator, or in the design program, you're staring at all these empty panels, and you're like, what am I going to put in these panels? Like, there's so much empty space, and then over time, you start filling it out, and you have something workable. You tell your friends to come. You tell Paul, in my case, hey man, will you be my editor? Because you are a master librarian and a scholar. And he's like, sure, I'll help you out, man. And then I asked some other friends of mine who do art, from going to art school. Hey man, come help me out. I'll throw you some cash. I did all the layout and all the writing all the layout is on me as a graphic designer, and the whole thing just kind of gelled together to make Rain and Blood. So
just look up the guy's name. It's Bruce Payne.
Bruce, yes,
Payne. Yeah.
yes, Bruce Payne.
Yeah,
he's also the main bad guy. He's also the main bad guy in the D&D movie, the first one, the terrible one.
Yeah, that's the only other thing I recognize him from.
Well, that's pretty cool. All right, so this is basically Passion 57 in space using the Mothership RPG, and you've got some kick-ass art and design elements for it. So it's looking great, and you're 300% funded with 7 days left to go. So what kind of stretch goals are you excited about coming up on next?
Okay, so there are 2 stretch goals left. I'll probably hit the $10,000 one because the last 2 days of the Kickstarter will probably be a push, I'm guessing. Hopefully I'll get the grand. But it's making me do something that I don't like. This maybe I shouldn't say this. I don't like designing character sheets because they're very tedious. But I was like, well, I can do it. Let me go ahead and do that. And if you guys ever take a chance to look at Mothership, the skill tree there is very heavily tied to the character sheet. So the way the progression works through kind of flow chart. So that's on there. a grayscale version of the zine because there's a lot of people who want to print this out from the house. So in order for them to do it with any kind of actual quality and fidelity, I'm going to have to like go in there and redesign elements of it for much quality, and some more art for my buddies, and then the $15,000 pledge, which is like the Hail Mary pledge, is my buddy Tim Wells is a voice actor working out of London, and he does an amazing South African accent, and so in my fiction there is a pirate hunter. He's a combination of Van Helsing as he's portrayed by Anthony Hopkins and Blade meshed into one person. So I was like, well, I can't just call him Victor Van Helsing, you know. So I'm like, well, he's Victor he's Vanderkamp. He's South African, and he's just intense. Because for some reason, to me, a really scary accent is South African. I don't know why. Like, so if you ever guys ever seen Chappie, that movie Chappie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The main protagonists are more scared of this South African gang leader than these like Ed 209 cyborg cops, and I just thought it was funny to me. So when Paul and I were talking about ideas, I threw it out there, and then I heard Tim do. Tim has a ad on. He has a presence on Fiverr where he does like sample voices, and I heard his voice, his South African accent, where he does a line from Blood Diamond, and it was really good. So at the bottom of if you scroll on the page, there's a sample of his there's a sample of him doing some lines. So the $15,000 pledge is I researched this very thoroughly, and I took all of Wesley Snipes' most iconic, like hilarious one-liners, like ice skating uphill, and like even stuff from like New Jack City. It's like such a $5 ass download for may change, like motherfucker please, like all those things are on there, and have them make a soundboard, and you just play it in your game, because there's a point in the story where you will encounter Victor, and then like he may or may not help you, and of course just like in Blade, when you're running around doing stuff, like, you know, you have to drop one-liners, you know what I mean? You have to like drop out, you know, hang 10 and hit him with a surfboard, like you have to do you have to do that stuff, right? And then, but what they will be getting what I've committed to in the Kickstarter, however, is there's a very important monologue that happens 25% into the adventure that will be scripted and read by Tim. So Tim will be involved in the process, but for more involvement from him, it'll probably be a bigger stretch goal. It's like I'm paying more money to do stuff for me.
All right, sweet. This looks really awesome. I'm probably going to back once, as soon as we get off here. But yeah, thanks for coming on and telling us about I didn't know about the Mothership at all. It's nice to hear about this stuff on with the OSR. I've been involved in Zine Quest a couple times, but I didn't know about this particular angle on it. So this is cool stuff.
You know, another thing too is if you're really into checking out some of the OSR zines, there's a guy on YouTube named Questing Beast, and he does a lot of like in-depth getting into zines and stuff like that, and is real big on the OSR community. So yeah, you can check him out.
It was actually Ben who got it was actually Ben's channel that got me into OSR, because his presentation I think Ben's a school teacher in real life.
Yeah.
And his presentation is so metered and professional that like I feel like his critiques or his reviews are very thoughtful, and he's kind of like a darling of the community. So I actually I've actually done some advertising with him in the process, but like I think the first video I ever saw was from him was Dark Veins of the Earth, which is a OSR zine, kind of like somebody wrote. I think it was what's his name? Patrick Stewart, Necrotic Gnome. He wrote basically a supplement that is like his version of the Underdark, and it is so imaginative and well thought out. When I saw that video on Ben's channel, I was like, "What is this?" Because I was still in that 5e world. And I was like, "What? People are just making stuff now. What, did I miss the call on that?" And like I picked it up and I read it, and I was like, "I would have never have been done any of this without discovering his channel one day randomly with the algorithm on YouTube." So, but yeah, good look on that one for sure.
Jason Sunday, our GM on Mondays last couple times. This is gonna be a great looking book, and I agree. It looks really awesome. So, yeah, I'm trying to think of the last really good sci-fi horror movie I saw, and it was Europa. a few years ago, and it's like not really a horror movie till the last 20 minutes.
Well, another good one is, honestly, Pandorum. People don't. That was a great movie. I liked it.
Underwater.
Underwater was great too. I saw it in the theater. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was good.
It was a great experience. There's stuff. There was something. What else? There's other stuff out there too right now too. There's like dog man. It's on a trickle. It comes out when it does, but like when it does come out, it makes a big splash. We all go run and see it, like because there's kind of like a lack of a creature space. You know what I mean? There's not like creature movies anymore. You just don't see a whole lot of that anymore. And I really wish, in not a science fiction, that's a good, you don't have to do a whole lot of explaining to explain a monster in science fiction. It's kind of like it's an alien or it's like a biological experiment, and the audience is like, okay. Then we just go right into the action. But there's been a few things out there. It's kind of like a slowly reviving, like genre. But it's out there.
Well, I guess Nicolas Cage, Color in Space, that was H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah.
That was
Color Out of Space.
Yeah,
sure. I would definitely. Man, did you see that movie? Did y'all see that?
I wanted to, but my wife vetoed that. We had to watch some Fast and Furious bullshit instead. So no, I missed that one.
You poor bastard.
What were you saying?
Color Out of Space. What Eric was saying.
Have you guys not seen Color Out of Space? The new one with Nicolas Cage?
No, I haven't got to see it yet.
Okay. So
I haven't found it on streaming anywhere yet.
With H.P. Lovecraft, it's very hard to encapsulate that in film because it's just there's a lot of telling not showing because it's meant to be his work is meant to be absorbed in the written material and let your imagination fill in the gaps. So a lot of filmmakers just don't know how to pull that off without showing you the monster, the payoff. The Color Out of Space, it was probably arguably the best entry since In the Mouth of Madness I've seen for Lovecraft, because they go there, man. It's not something it's not for the faint of heart, because there's some body horror that's pretty intense that I was like, there's no way they're gonna do this. Whoa, okay. Like I remember like my girlfriend, I remember turning it off and then being like, let's go to bed. It's intense.
Well, it's one of the reasons why I enjoyed Underwater, because you got a lot of that as well. Annihilation with Natalie Portman was also very good cosmic horror.
That movie got a lot of flack because of I guess it was, they had some asymmetrical storytelling in there, but I think from like the part, Jacob, the part when they go and they find soldiers they see the vlog and the stuff in the pool. Those are great scenes, man. I know the movie is not for everyone because there's some concept stuff in there and there's some arty kind of stuff at the end. But I thoroughly enjoyed that movie, and I don't, it had all female cast, and like that's kind of risky, and no one talks about that. And like I thought Natalie Portman did a great job. I need to watch that again, actually.
It's a good movie. I really like it. I highly recommend it.
But
yeah, that grizzly bear messed me up for a little bit.
Oh, the Lucrota bear. The Lucrota bear scene was terrifying.
No, the scene with that guy in the pool where they're like, what happened to this? Why is this guy like growing into this pool? And it's like they find like the log and like it's like, okay, well, you got me. I'm hooked now. I think I was alone in the theater. Like when I saw that movie, I was like, okay, I'm invested now. Like what's about to happen? It's based on a Russian novel, I think when I did my research on it.
It sounds like a Russian novel. Does everyone die except for one person at the end who tells the story?
I don't want to spoil anything. That's pretty accurate.
It is one of those things that has to be seen. You can't be told about it, otherwise it ruins the movie.
Yeah, there's the last 20 minutes are pretty crazy. Yeah, it's pretty. You should watch it though. We're past the. You can probably find it on streaming somewhere. So you're gonna be, if you don't like it, like I don't want this. You didn't pay any money for it, but it's definitely something that I try to support. I love that genre. So I try to support that stuff like when it comes out, if it's interesting or whatever.
Cool. Well, any closing thoughts, guys, before we wrap it up and call it a podcast? All right. Eric, it's been a real pleasure talking to you, sir. Thanks for coming out, man.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me.
Oh, that's right. We actually do a horror show intermittently called Ghost Show Press. We should bring you on to talk about sci-fi horror sometime. That could be fun.
Anytime. I mean, anytime, man. I mean, like, it's just like one of those things that are kind of near and dear to my heart. Like, it's always has been like a passion of mine. So like, I'm pretty knowledgeable on the subject. So I love that, man. And let me know.
Sweet, thanks. And you can check out Eric's Kickstarter if you just do a Google on Rain and Blood and Kickstarter. It'll come up, and I've got in the comments. We'll put in the show notes too. And
7 days.
7 days, man. I'm like nail biting. I'm at Quiznos. Like, oh, look at my phone. Like, where we at? Where we going?
Yeah, it's a roller coaster, isn't it? Why did I lose that pledge? God damn it! What was something I said? Yeah.
One funny thing about it was I had no idea. Like, so when I put it out there originally, I was like, I'll just do internet. I'll just do domestically because I just don't want to deal with
international.
But I had so many people like hound me about international shipping. Like it was, I felt attacked. So I put it. So then I opened that up, and then it's been like a free fall ever since. So I'm really happy with the progress of it.
I did my first Kickstarter with international shipping, and I lost like hundreds of dollars shipping one book to one backer in South America. So since
was it Brazil?
I think
no Russia, no Brazil. I checked. I did homework. No Russia, no Brazil, no China. I did Hong Kong and Taiwan, but that's it. Like, because I heard such horror stories. I have one guy who bought a book in American Samoa. I think that's the most exotic place that I'll be shipping Rain and Blood to. I don't know what you're doing in America. Are you playing OSR in Samoa? Cool, man. Let's do it. I'll send it to you. Here you go.
I hear it's a nice place. Well, you've probably been there, right?
Where is it? American Samoa?
Yeah.
I've been to Guam.
Okay. That's relatively close as these things go, right?
I mean, the Philippines, right? That's somewhere out there.
Well, I've been to the Philippines quite a few times.
Yeah.
And I love. I mean, I went to Japan, and Japan was okay, but the Philippines, man, it's like a family experience, even if you weren't part of the family.
Well, I used to want to go because I used to study Eskrima pretty heavily when I lived in New Orleans.
What camp?
Like what's the guy's name? Keko Kanete, whatever. The
Kukoi Kayente.
Yeah, the all stick and knife stuff. Like,
yep.
I trained like. I kind of like stumbled upon it one day, and I was like, "What is this? Like, what is going on here?" And I was hard in that, and I really wanted to go to what's the city called? Cebu. Yeah, I really want to go there and like check out their schools. And when I moved to Atlanta, I was really disappointed there was no schools for it around here because there's different, there's Balatok, Eskrima, and the different schools, but that was the first time I had taken a martial art where it was like, this is how you kill people with a knife. We're gonna drill on this all day long. I was like, all right, I can get down on this.
Yeah, if you really wanna get the beat on, I mean, you can always go to Cali and hook up with the Dog Brothers. Those guys
who fight with the fencing helmet. Man, this is crazy, man.
Yeah,
that is some crazy
higher consciousness through harder contact.
Well, Walt does that.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah. I've been doing Filipino Kali for 25, 30 years now.
Oh, wow. That's so random, man. You're the first person I think I've ever spoken to about it that knew what the hell I was talking about.
So, Inosanto La Casta, I've done Pakiti Tersha Kali, Kichikundao, a couple of other different arts. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love it.
Yeah. Well,
in fact, I have my Gununting right here.
Yeah, so you ain't playing around.
So.
Our instructor, he whip training too. He put in the class like a bull whip. I was like, yeah, whips.
Whip. Yeah, Dan Inosanto is used to be famous for whipping cigarettes out of people's mouths. Yeah, he was. That's Bruce Lee's top student. So
really?
Yeah, Dan Inosanto has been training for 50 plus years. He was Bruce Lee's top student, and is just an absolute whiz on all things like Filipino martial arts, Li Junfang Kung Fu, Jeet Kune Do, stuff like that. So, and just an absolute wonderful human being, just a real gentleman's gentleman. He was World War II vet. Fought in like bare knuckle stuff, like in California when the Filipinos were being kind of, kicked around by the sailors and stuff like that. just like a fully encapsulated American story in one human being with a wealth of martial arts knowledge. He's just an absolute great dude.
What was his name again?
Dan Inosanto.
Dan Inosanto.
Yeah, if you've trained in Kali or Arnis or Eskrima at all, and you don't know Dan Inosanto, then you haven't really trained.
Okay,
So,
well, I'll look into it. It's been about 7 or 8 years since I messed with it.
Yeah, check. Trust me, if you even type in Dan and then IN, then the first thing that's going to come up is his name. So,
okay, I mean, I'll look it up.
In fact,
I mean,
did you see The Mandalorian?
Yes.
Did you see the second season?
Oh, well, you're talking about the stick, the what's the gaffy stick fighting stuff?
No, Ahsoka Tano, the Ahsoka Tano episode.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the lady she fought?
Oh yeah,
that's Dan Inosanto's daughter.
Oh,
yeah,
that's interesting. That's really interesting. I'll have to now. I'm really my curiosity is really piqued. That's just so random. It's so.
Filipino martial arts is one of Walt's specialities. He's actually fluent in Tagalog too.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, when I was talking to my instructor, he was he's like 90% of all murders happen in the Philippines with like a knife. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah. So over time, like people started like learning how to like defend themselves from it. That and rattan sticks or whatever.
Well, the rattan was put in because of Spanish rule because swords were outlawed. So in order to practice the martial arts, they disguised them as ceremonial dances with fire-hardened lacquered rattan sticks.
I would never have known that until I came on the BAMF podcast. That's the gift you guys give to me.
Maraming salamat. You're very welcome.
I tell you, man, we were doing every day.
Love our esoteric knowledge about things.
I mean, you got to have cultural value. You have to give back cultural value, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the best trip I've ever been in my life, too, man. It was like a dance, but it was pretty fun, man. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, we don't just promote your Kickstarter. We educate you.
I gotta do a podcast. I gotta do a podcast tomorrow with these guys in the UK and like they talk about the Kickstarter process and how because you've done it, you know how scary it is. Like it's a funny story. Like it's short. Like so, I went right before I launched my Kickstarter. I got approved. I got approved and everything. And I was on a plane to Vegas, and I was like, okay, great. Like here I go. Like I'm gonna go ahead and get a pre-launch page, and I'm gonna party in Vegas, and then I'm gonna get back and then start promoting. Well, I accidentally launched the page. Oh. That's what it's 2 iterations of it because it's so confusing. It's like you look at the list, and it's like you put a pre-launch page down like a timeline. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh my god, no, take it down, and then they're like, we can't take it down. That's my first hard lesson with Kickstarter is like there's no takebacks, man, at all. So you really have to take the plunge if you're going to do it and know what you're committing to. It's all based on faith. If you don't present an air of like you can deliver, then no one's going to back you, and especially in your first project. You know what I mean? There's no forgiveness. So like it's a pretty scary process. So when somebody's like, why don't you ship internationally? And I'm like, I don't want to ship tiny booklets with no tracking to Latveria. I don't. You know what I mean?
Latveria.
Yeah, the Latvian post office is notorious. It's just doom bots.
Yeah,
it's incredibly efficient.
Just go to the post office in Madripoor or whatever, and just like get some stuff.
It is the most efficient post office in the world. Doom says so.
I mean, I can just imagine some guy on a mountaintop playing my game. I mean, sure, man, sure, why not?
It happens. All right, I'm going to play the closing credits or the closing theme just to assure people this is a high-quality, handcrafted, artisanal podcast. Hang on. I think we should get the dance remix version of that. I'm kind of getting tired of the original. So.
Is it the dance remix version?
Yeah, you should only do the dance remix if you're in the frame dancing while it's going on.
There's guys that do that. You can go on Fiverr and pay some guy to like mocap you and like just like spinning around doing breakdancing or whatever. Well, I appreciate the shout out, guys. I had a lot of fun.
It was a good time, Eric. Thanks for coming on.
It goes so fast. All right.
It does.
Hit me anytime, guys. I'm always around. I really appreciate it.
Hey, sounds good. Jacob, Walt, thanks for coming out. To all our listeners, thanks for checking us out. We will catch you next time on the BAMF podcast. Jason Sunday, thank you very much, sir.
Well,